up. God almighty, it's a Sweat Equity podcast coming to you from Cigar City Studios in the Toco Works office. I'm your host, Law Smith. We keep a seat open for our former co-host, Caleb Fuddy. Just like Elijah at Seder, we keep the seat right there, just in memory of him. On this episode, we're going to bring in our guest, muralist, and friend of the program, Mr. Matt Callahan of Man Made Murals.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, see? This is your first podcast, right?
It is, but I'm an infinite listener of podcasts at all times.
Well, that's how I got into it. I got into, I was like, man, I should just be doing a podcast and anything that's interesting, you know, and like interests me that I talk about all the time anyway. And, you know, doing the Toco Works kind of business consulting, small business consulting kind of bled into this. Before we got on the mics, we were talking about like, well, what's the podcast about? And it's kind of like, well, we started it because I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people I talk to. I feel like there's a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that I talk to all the time, and either they don't know what they want to do or they know what they want to do and they don't know how to get there. Right. And then like there's not a lot of practical advice. Like we're going to do your story as kind of a narrative, but like, I like real practical advice. Like someone was like, hey, like my first job at a mutual fund company, my first real job. I mean, I had like bartending stuff. And
what was your first job?
I was a grunt at a mutual fund company in LA right when I moved out there. And basically I had like 20 to 25 bosses that were financial advisor services. I didn't know what a mutual fund was.
Right.
And I didn't know that one of the guys I kind of had to help out would win a Nobel Prize that happened last year. If you look up Eugene Fama, who came up with the passive investing theory.
No kidding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I saw my life going down that route. Like I could have gotten my CFP, Certified Financial Planner, and I could have. And that's a bitch. That's 3 years of tests that you just spend a lot of your life.
Right.
And I could be in the corporate machine, and they were like, hey, you know, you stick around and you'll be one of the bigger dogs in here. By the time you're 30, you have your like a place in Manhattan Beach.
Right. You'll be rich.
It's a nice life.
Really rich and unhappy.
Yeah. And then pretty much I was like, I'm going to leave in the recession in 2009 exactly. and go do stand-up for nothing. So like, but I knew like that's where my kind of my heart is in that area. And then I knew once I did stand up, I didn't want to do that. But the practical advice I got when I worked there was every morning, write a list of things to do. Your memory's not that good. Right. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not, my memory sucks dick. Like I need to, it literally sucks other memories' dicks. Like, it's that bad. It's that, if figuratively, if you're thinking of it, if you're a visual person.
I hope you're not coming to an artist about writing lists because we are the worst.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. But the reason I like you is because like you're a creative guy, but you don't let that. I hate when artists or artists, designers, whatever it is, comedians. Yeah, but they rely on it where they go, well, man, I'm a fucking artist. And it's like, that's bullshit, man. Because I don't like that. I fucking hate that kind of logic.
Right.
And they get away with it. Like people go.
Oh no, people in the business world expect. In fact, and not that I haven't gotten away with it in some regards, but a lot of people expect you to be lazier than you are when they hear you're an artist.
Right.
Yeah. I
know. And I have to remind people like, oh yeah, I'm a comedian, but I also run my own business. And so I'm not your, I just kind of stop them before they can kind of get a read on me. And I just go, look, I'm atypical. You're not going to be able to pigeonhole me. You're going to put me in one bucket or the other.
Right.
I look like Spicoli if he had a son, or I look like Phil Mickelson if he never picked up a golf club. But like, the thing is like, people want to put you in a bucket or a trench or whatever you want. And for you, you're about getting the work done, which is really, really unusual for an artist.
It is.
I don't know how that. So let's go backwards. How did you know you wanted to be a muralist, an artist?
The beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I've always drawn. As a kid. I think, and you just had a kid. You'll see. All kids love to draw.
Yeah.
I just started to excel. I didn't really think of it as a career in any sense until I didn't even think of it as a place I could have done for school until maybe 17, 18 years old. But now looking back, I was winning Chuck E. Cheese drawing contests in 3rd grade. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and all kinds of
Chuck E. Cheese. Is it right after the band plays?
Well, I remember I called it to the office, the principal's office, and I was scared out of my mind. And turns out I won a drawing contest through the Tallahassee Police Department at Chuck E. Cheese. Got to meet the 80s,
the banjo
robot
rat and
yeah,
shit.
Pretty much like that. But yeah, looking back, I've just always thrived in art. And then I really, really got my push around 15, 16 years old. I would say my influences were definitely like, Garfield comics and Calvin and Hobbes, stuff like that. The Simpsons, big time. I started I was always doing lots of drawing, and then got into colored pencils big time. And then I had an art teacher at Florida High in Tallahassee that really pushed me hard. She saw that I had something, and she really started to get me to put a so-called portfolio together.
Yeah.
And she said, hey,
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she said, well, if you want to pursue this, we can start looking into art schools for you and see about getting you into some contests. And ultimately, in senior year, I won a contest, the citywide Tallahassee senior competition at Lemoyne, our only big art gallery, and I was one of 5 winners and got a scholarship to Atlanta College of Art.
So there's always that part of the story where there's one person, be it a parent, aunt, uncle, teacher, someone, a coach, someone that pushes you a little bit. I feel like that a lot of people resist that a lot of times. They go, I should have listened to that person a little bit more.
I would say that I've been lucky in the respect that I've always known that I've wanted to do art, or I could just say that art has always made me happy. Like, I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
I was, a skateboarder, kind of a punk kid like the rest of my friends, but I always was into drawing and painting, and I just pursued it. I didn't really see any other avenue or way to take because I knew that was my path. And I found out later on my dad was an artist. And when he knocked up my mom at 21, switched to be a lawyer because, an artist in the 60s wasn't really going to bring in the money.
Well, yeah.
To him. So he switched, but it could have been passed on in DNA for all I know. But I think everyone's got something that they're really good at that makes them happy. And my advice is always follow what makes you happy, because if you follow that as a career, you probably can find a career. I think everyone's got something.
Right.
They just don't. They need to find it to follow it.
Well, my thing is always that I like that kind of philosophy, but at the same time, it's like then we might not have accounts receivable kind of people. Like, but they might want to be part of a bigger organization that is bringing in money for that, or
right.
I feel like there is that talent, that artist talent.
It's a unique one. It's like a musician.
I can go back and forth if it's environment or if it's you're born with it, or environment. I can get persuaded in either direction nowadays.
There has to be levels. I mean, and look, it's taken a long time for me to get where I'm at now. Let's say my first mural, 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did that go about?
Art teacher got us a mural in Tallahassee, and
same one that was
same one. I was able to design it and with color pencil, and then we did it. Didn't make any money on it, but got news stories, and we had kids help us and everything else. But that was the first time I actually tried to do something bigger than a piece of paper or what you can buy at the art store.
Sure.
And started to learn how to paint a little bit. I really learned how to paint in college, because I did an illustration degree.
So tell me about that. Did you go to SCAD?
Well, I had offered to SCAD, but I lived...
That's Savannah College of Art and Design?
Right, which subsequently owns my art college now.
I'll throw in little stuff that for the listener.
Definitely. I mean, I got offered at Ringling, and I got offered at SCAD. The problem was
Sarasota, Ringling. They have an art.
Yeah.
I don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Ringling's a huge art community. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida. And when you're an 18-year-old, you want to see something bigger than Savannah, Georgia, past Tallahassee. So I went for Atlanta.
There's Jacksonville. That's where Skinner came from.
That's true.
Or Gainesville, where Tom
true.
Petty came from.
That's true. It's true.
Big city living.
Well, and I do have to throw
You could have been an airbrush artist in Panama City.
Yeah, could be license plates with hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I got to throw this in too. My dad gave me probably the best gift he could ever give me, which he gave my brother as well 10 years before, which when we turned 18, just, I never got allowance or anything. And when I was 15, I started working. And I've been working every year at some job since I was 15, delivering pizzas, whatever. And we didn't get money. If you wanted a car, you earned the money. You went and got a job and you made your own money. So what he did, what normal parents would do with an allowance, is save that up. And he took me on a trip around the world, straight out of high school and before college. And I cannot tell you how quickly that got my head straight and ready to rock and roll for college, because when you're 18, you want to know what is out in the world.
Yeah.
And I got to see that.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind away.
So where'd you go?
Quickly, Jamaica.
How many spots?
This was 2.5 months. So we spent like 3 days everywhere we went.
Your dad was an attorney at this time. It was just like, I saved up all my vacation time I'm going to take off 2.5 months.
Yeah. Well, he did it for my brother when he turned 18. And
that's really cool.
We had 10 years in between us. So he's always waited to save to do that for me.
That's awesome.
And then my stepbrother's 12 years younger than me, got the same trip, but we all did 3 different routes.
Okay.
But
I like that.
Yeah.
That's
so
kind of
Jamaica, then Japan, then Australia, New Zealand, then Indonesia, Thailand. India. That'll wake you up when you're an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Then Greece, Russia, Latvia, London, then back home to Atlanta for the 96 Olympics and start art school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That's a really cool kind of dad idea.
Amazing.
Where it's like you really get a lot of perspective. You go, okay, well, any entitlement you might have kind of might go away. I always thought like maybe doing volunteering, like my kid's 3 weeks old. I'm already like trying to figure out what I can get him to do, so he's not an entitled shit.
That is a natural dad instinct.
Yeah. But I'm like, well, I volunteered a lot. I did a lot of that kind of stuff, and some of the best things I did, like go build houses in Mexico for a weekend, was like some of the best things you'll do.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, I've got a 4-year-old, and we've traveled out of the country at least once, maybe 1 year we've missed with him because of that. I've constantly traveled since. Yeah. Every chance I get to go outside of America and see a different environment, see a different way people live, come back, get your head right, give you a different perspective. It's just, I think it's priceless.
So your dad kind of set you up to. I think that's really important that you earned everything you did.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's a hard lesson for a lot of people. That I feel like.
Well, look, if you're the son of a lawyer, you're going to get. Well, I'm sure you've been handed everything, but that's simply not the truth at all. Definitely helped out with school, but even when I was in college, still had jobs.
Yeah, my dad's done very well. My family's well off, but like we got everything we needed, not everything we wanted.
Right.
We're very almost. I say we're Jewish, and just the way everybody's really funny, but the way that like you don't get everything.
No.
We can go do that, but we're gonna have a lot of self-guilt.
Right.
and you're gonna be a mama's boy.
Right.
And you're gonna want to nosh.
And there's no, as hard as it ever gets, there's no satisfaction unless you work hard for it, honestly.
Yeah. We're about to do this is about to be the roughest time of the year for our company.
Right.
Where we donate a lot of time to the Tampa Pig Jig Festival on the River, which is it supports a kidney disease called the nephrotic syndrome, and basically it's October 22nd. Cool. Half our crowds in the area, half our crowds around the world, really, in this Sweat Equity podcast. But basically, I tell a lot of people, like, get involved as a business, as part of the consulting, get involved with a charity that you really want to do. You want to get involved in, because the best beer, the best drink you're ever going to have is at the end of that.
Oh yeah.
That day.
Oh yeah.
It's an 18-hour day, and before that, we've been putting 18-hour days in. But at 7 o'clock when the last band goes on, I can kind of kick my heels up
Right.
and have a tall boy and feel really good about, hey, we were part of raising $650,000
Yeah,
last
amazing,
year.
right?
And I think that lesson is the same for growing up or teaching kids value. You don't. What do you get for free? I talk about this as stand-up. I hate free ticket crowds because the free ticket crowd doesn't give a shit.
Of course.
There's no value in it.
Right.
There's no social exchange. So I can
also, we can talk to each other's wives about how it's okay to have a beer after working for 18 hours.
Well, mine knows I'm going to have a few. It's number 13 or 14 that she's worried about.
Okay, so you talk to my wife.
Pretty much. You handle it better than I do. I'm like, I need to take a nap. You've got energy. You've got pent-up energy. Has that energy always been around, or is that because I feel like my energy's been a little bit artificially manufactured. Like I have to get myself going. Like I gotta get riled up.
No, my friends, I've got something inside. There's something going on there. What did my art partner say? She had, I'm not down with all the abbreviations, but the fear of missing out.
The FOMO.
Yeah, she says I've got a chronic case of that.
I've got that as well. Yeah. But mine goes into like, oh fuck. Like I don't say that out loud. It's just like, oh man, I'm fucking stuck here. I think a lot of us have that. I think a lot of people have the FOMO. But like, what makes you different as an artist? Not only can you mimic almost anything, do you train for that?
I think that is training. What I'm going to be working on in the next year and a half is my own work more solely, which I've already started to design, and my art partners really helped me out. Plus, being around some of these amazing artists at Shine 1, Shine 2, and some of the other local guys that are just my friends are awesome. The international artists have just really pushed me to kind of go for my own style. Not that I don't have a style, it's just that I get so wrapped up making money and appeasing clients, which I will never complain about being busy, that really I'm putting my spin on and making their brand, or they're coming to me with some elements, and then I'm kind of putting my spin on it and making their brand, and I don't always get 110% of the creative, way to go. So
it's tough.
Every now and then you got to remind yourself as an artist to take a break, or at least push a few extra hours after work and work on your own stuff. Throw another art show and really show people what you really want to do. But along the way, a lot of that, like you're saying, mimicking or other stuff is, I think, just training you to become a better artist constantly. As long as that brush is moving.
I'm gonna make a parallel for all business. It's really tough. You get caught up.
Right.
You get caught up in like, hey, we've got to bring cash in.
Right.
Like this is a business first, okay?
It's still a business.
Bully for me that I can do this business. You said like your dad in the 60s.
Right.
It'd be really tough to do it. Now we have access.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's almost crazy that we don't, if you have the ability like you do, it's crazy if we're not pushing as hard.
Oh yeah.
And we get it from both sides. The older generation goes, oh, well, hey, you might be focusing in the wrong areas. The younger generation says you're not focusing in the right areas.
Right.
So it's a weird we're in a weird confluence of like, all right, how do you make a business happen while getting this passion going that, even our company, your company, kind of doesn't need to exist. And this is the way I see it.
Right.
It's a luxury that we get to do it.
It is.
Going to that perspective of like going to India where you're like, oh, they don't have drinking water.
Yeah. Yeah. And you will get sick.
And I think you're very conscious of that. I think part of that is going, okay, but at the same time, we need to do something that's going to step your game up.
Right.
Because while how long have you been doing Man Made Murals? How long has that been an industry?
Okay, so art school, illustration, watched some of my friends, in art school go the fine art route.
Uh-huh.
I was taught right around the time of the zip disk.
Zip desk.
Disc. Well,
the big external drive.
Right. I'm just going to give you like
man.
a perspective.
I wanted one of those so bad.
To where
99.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So Mac computers. They're the graphic design department is right down I didn't know computers. We were taught as illustrators at that point. You didn't really need computers. We could see computers becoming a thing in art. But
you might not after like it might go back to these kind of these hand drawn. Yeah,
you need both.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I that's yeah. So then I get out of art school, and the last thing I want to do is art. Bartending time.
Party time. All right.
Right. You're a kid coming out of art school, so I'm not doing much art. I'm doing a few things here and there, but I started to do a couple murals while I was in art school.
Were you saying to everybody you're an artist? Like I told everybody I was a comedian before I really was a comedian.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so proud to be that. But then honestly, art school was like boot camp, and I just a couple of my teachers were madness. I mean, I almost got in a fist fight and
oh, you can't bury that story
with.
I got to hear that.
All right. Mark Brott, illustrator. Feared,
Prof. Brott.
Yep. Feared art school teacher. I was busting my ass in about 12 people in our class, and we had about the end of the semester. When you get him in one, he really works you. When you get him in 4, illustration 4, he's supposed to be nicer, and you're supposed to be working on your portfolio to exit, to show people, to get a job, blah, blah, blah. Get a job out of art school. Right, sure, okay.
Makes sense.
So I'm working my butt off. We have a critique every week, and people are turning in crap, to be honest with you, artwork, and he's just, yep, that looks good, looks great. And this guy had us just up at all hours of the night just to make our week, deadline, and I would turn in what I thought was leagues beyond everyone else in class, and he one day tore me apart. Everyone else looks great. That little scrub boy right there, that's perfect. And then he laid into me like it was no one's business in class.
On purpose?
I found out later that he was going through a rough day, but he chose me to destroy in front of everybody. And he'd already seen I'd been up for a couple of days. And he went to town on me, and it got so bad that people started leaving the room in the middle of critique. And it was just me and him, and I lost it.
Oh, wait, how many people are in the class?
12, and him as the teacher.
And then eventually just people like...
Oh, it got bad.
12 angry men, they just like turned to the other sides of the room?
No, like left the class. Because he started saying, this is fucking shit. Your art is fucking shit. You can do better. What the you know what I mean? And
Did he hate you from the get-go?
No, it was a good hate. Like I thought he was teaching me the right way. But I had a breaking point, and I was like, I don't want.
Sure.
And we all knew he took karate too. Chain smoking black belt karate guy who was feared by everyone, but he wasn't scaring me that day. So I lost it on him. I basically told him what I thought. I said, I can't believe you're destroying me. I work harder than anyone in this fucking class, and you are destroying me right now. Why don't you go fuck yourself and fuck this art school? And I walked out, and as I was walking down that hallway, I thought, I just threw away 4 years of hard work.
Yeah.
This guy is going to get me kicked out of school, and this is it.
Yeah.
So I drove home. It's got to be before good cell phones or anything. Mm-hmm. I remember I still had a house phone.
Sure.
So, as I'm driving home, I'm just like, wow, there it is. All that hard work down the drain.
Fuck.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm going to tell parents or anything. Like, that's it. I almost fist fought. Oh, no, that's what it was. He saw my hand shaking, I remember, in class. And he said,
Like, because you're pissed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, you want to hit me right now? Go ahead. Try to hit me. And I just told him to go fuck himself, because I was like, if I hit a teacher, that's definitely out.
It's arrestable.
Yeah. So when I get home, long story short, when I get home, my phone is ringing off the chain. I can hear my phone from outside before I open my door. And it's him. I don't know how many times he called me in a row to wait for me to get home. It took me about 25 minutes. When I picked up the phone, he said, I just want you to listen. He goes, I think that you're the only thing in this class that's ever going to make anything of himself as an artist. He goes, I pushed you hard because I think you're the only person that's going to make it. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of you, and I love your work, and I'm only hard on you because I think you're going to make it. And also I'm going through some personal stuff, and that was I went a little bit off the chain there. I apologize. And he basically told me his admiration for me. Then last 2 weeks I was like, great, I'm not out of art school.
Can we talk about the first time you walked back into class?
Oh,
After that, it's so awkward.
Super awkward. But
I had a teacher like that as
I will
well.
Tell you this.
We didn't get in a fist fight. But
I was a bartender at the time when I was finishing, and he came into my bar about 6 months after graduation and took me out on the night of my life.
Really?
Yeah, we were still friends to this day, and
Wait,
we talk.
so all right, so tell me about that.
I don't know if that'll make the podcast.
Yeah, come on now. You don't have to be like
He
we're
was with
balls deep in all these co-eds.
He was with his girl and came into my bar, and I said, "Oh my God, there you are, Mark. What's going on?" And I got off my shift, and I said, "Hey, you want to go out and have a beer tonight? We're done. You know, we're not teacher and student anymore. We're artist and artist now."
Right.
And he said,
"You're not my peer."
Right.
No, that would have been awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
It was kind of like going with my dad around the world. It's like, oh, we're friends now, to a degree.
No,
To a degree.
You're still son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, he basically talked to his girl, and she said, have a good time. And he took me out, and we went out all night long. Bars, strip clubs, the whole deal.
Where are we? We're in
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And had a blast. And I've seen him as recently as 3 years ago, and still friends. And honestly, looking back, I'm glad he pushed me because I worked super hard because of it.
That's some real dangerous mind shit.
Yeah, he screwed me over.
No, I mean, we had that with my entrepreneurship teacher, and he ended up becoming my mentor now. I called him when I started this business, and I go, you be proud. I'm probably the only one in our entrepreneurship program
There you go.
that's actually a real consultant
Right.
or really doing their own business.
And could you get away with that now as a teacher? Now you'd be kicked out and fired, wouldn't you?
No, oh, fuck yeah. No, he would walk in and be like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Love it.
He would give us like business plans. He'd go, you're going to go write a business plan for a crematorium. And I was like, okay. And then he'd go to the A squad. It was 2 swimmers and 2 really goody girls that were they only got straight A's. Ours was hard. Like our group, he hated on and wanted us to have to work harder.
Right.
Basically,
Right.
He knew this group would get an A, but he wanted us to challenge that group.
Of course.
And so he'd give them like a sweet, like, all right, you got a cupcake, like a retail cupcake shop. Go write her business plan. You guys over here, you've got to write, and it'd be us 4 dejected, like just shit. Okay.
Crematorium.
And I'm like, oh, and the guy's 35 miles outside the city. So you got to go meet with him.
That's what you get.
And we'd pull an A out of our ass, but it would be like, we'd be in my buddy's trailer at Auburn, like pacing back and forth. All right, how the fuck do we get to write a mission statement?
And aren't we talking about the same thing again, though?
Right.
Aren't we? Working hard to get. It's not always going to be
I don't
easy.
know what the fuck a break-even point is. I don't know. I don't know what a burn rate is.
Good.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Luckily, Google existed, and that's another thing. Like people go, well, I don't know what I want to do, and it's like, oh, you know this Google thing. Like you can look. I'm learning how to parent by YouTube. Thank
God, right?
Yeah. Oh God, dude, I got dog cussed out because I didn't know how to do anything with the kid, and I'm like, I thought the nurses would teach me, and so.
And we already had our discussion about your your birth and who's helping here?
Yeah.
Am I birthing this child?
What am I doing? Yeah. Am I involved? How involved am I? Oh, I'm a stirrup. Oh, cool. I'm. No one told me I'm a stirrup.
Right. Like there's a doctor's going to show up today, correct?
But right. Oh, the doctor's like, all right, I'm gonna just put my fingers in your wife, and then I'll see you later in 30 minutes. And you're like, what? So. That brings you back to kind of like problem solving on the fly, and like having to deal with that, and business, dealing with business, whatever you want to do, artist, anything in the art world or anything, even in the math-based world. Let's say you want to open your own financial planner, planning company. You're going to deal with people on their bad days like that. And
definitely.
It's hard not to want to punch a teacher in the face.
Well, but if it wasn't for hard teachers like that, then where would we be?
Right. But sometimes it's not directed in the right way. Sometimes you just have shitty teachers. But it sounds like you had a good one.
Yeah.
We had a good one mostly that would be like, I just worked on a $7 million deal to kind of help that out. You guys go fucking figure it out yourself. And you're like, okay.
That day without the phone call at home or the going out drinking with him later on, or the fact that I learned later on that he sat by my dad during graduation and did nothing but brag about me to my pops, is a shitty person. But the fact that he did all 3 of those things makes him amazing to me.
Yeah, same here. And when our teacher came out with us and he saw my stand-up, like the 7th time I'd done it, and he was like, all right, the kid's got some chops. And I was like, wow, all right, that's huge. So let's go from college to kind of the progression. I'm going to get
struggle period.
I'm going to get another beer out of there. But,
sure, go ahead. The struggle
keep
period.
Yeah.
Okay, so leave college, bartending, not doing art, thinking, what am I doing if I'm not doing art? Plus, one of the biggest problems with art schools, there's two problems in art schools, if you ask me. Hopefully it's changed these days. They do not teach you the business end of it.
No. They don't teach the business into business schools.
Correct.
So
they're like, great portfolio, nice review. If you don't get an agent immediately in New York City and become the next hottest fucking thing, what are you doing with your life?
What is that? What is that life like, getting an art agent?
Well, I
know this is scattered, but this is going to come
No, it's
back.
fine. I had a New York teacher too who was a successful New York illustrator, and at that time, in my degree for illustration, what we were looking at is magazine illustration, some online stuff that wasn't that big yet. Illustrations for CD covers, magazines, books, this stuff.
Okay.
Which is great, except for all these illustrators, you get boxed into a style, and usually you're hot for a while, and then you're gone. And only a few of the dinosaurs. I was basically, I think, becoming an illustrator in a big transitional period of what now, isn't really categorized. An artist can be so many things these days. So I just basically went to bartending and kind of didn't look at my art or even want to deal with it for a while. Then I realized I'm not doing my art. Here's my passion still inside me that's still always wanting to come out. What am I doing? Why am I still in Atlanta? And also, I miss Florida for the ocean because I'm an ocean rat.
Yeah.
So I didn't
on
want
the East Coast, the ocean, or on the West Coast, the Mexican Ocean.
The Mexican Ocean.
That's how I call it.
I lived in Florida my whole life and pretty well known about the cities, but I came down to Tampa to visit and was blown away. Just because of the different stigmatisms that different Florida cities have that we don't need to go through, but I think we all agree.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So I moved to Seminole, Florida.
Okay. It's like St. Pete area.
It's the dead. I lived next to
it's a dead zone.
A trailer park, basically.
Yeah.
And my friend said, you'll be in Tampa within 6 months.
Think
Don't
of
sign
Tampa,
your lease.
St. Pete, Clearwater as a triangle. It's in between the St. Pete, Clearwater part.
Right. Like when I said I looked at it on a map, like I looked at it on a real map, not a Google map.
Yeah. Like a Rand McNally cartography map. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, I bagged out on my lease and started to come to Tampa, and I started bartending at Max in Hyde Park. I don't know if you remember Max Sports.
It's the first bar I ever went into.
Love it.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 32. I had to think.
I might have
been.
You
probably served
me. Working the door when you
look,
came in.
we talked drunkenly when you were doing something over at a Reservoir Bar.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. So anyway,
you definitely met my sisters. How about that?
Oh boy. Well, anyway,
when the Chatterbox was around.
Correct. I think the first thing I painted in Tampa was the veterinary clinic off of Swan, and then I started doing some things for Max, and then I just started to kind of put my life into two categories: working to make money for rent and bills, bartending, but always doing art on the side on my days off.
So this is going to parallel where you're at now,
right?
Because at that point in your life, you're making enough cash to go do the art.
Correct.
You get paid for the art until you get paid for the art.
Correct.
Right? Like you get paid until you're good enough to get paid.
Correct.
You're just doing it for experience.
Right.
So anybody listening that wants to do something, you want to be a fashion consultant.
Get ready for some years of struggle.
Yeah, start a blog.
Yeah.
You've got 40 hours outside of your 40 or 50 hour a week job. Do it. It's hard. It's not easy.
The best advice I got from my other art school teacher was, and I still believe in it because it happened to me in the 10-year mark, he said, if you love doing art, get ready to do it well for 10 years before you ever make real money.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck yeah. And that anything in the art realm, music, God, I couldn't, like, at least stand up, like I can kind of, what's great, and this is with art as well, what's good and bad about it is you're by yourself and it's your own. You have autonomy.
Right.
You don't have to go through, there's red tape, but like, you can always step up your game.
Yeah.
With music, I feel like you got a lot more hurdles to go through, but at the same time, you get there's a lot more places to play.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really just go do, like, I'm going to go paint a wall.
You can, but the cops might show up.
Right. And like when you try to do stand up in a different spot, it's like it just doesn't work a lot of the time. But I remember I had an actor friend. She was like, you know what's awesome about what you're doing? When I was feeling shitty about stand up, she's like, what's awesome about what you can do is you can just go up and do an open mic. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I got to go do a soliloquy like the Santa Monica Promenade. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Right.
Oh yeah. Being an actor fucking sucks. Fuck that.
Yeah.
So, we're not as bad as y'all.
Yeah, right.
But that parallel of you were making money being a bartender at Max that used to let in a lot of people under 21.
Oh, yeah.
And then our fake IDs were literally just scanned.
It was the worst.
We just scan them, and then you keep it in your wallet. So you flip it out.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd be like, can you take that out? You're like, all right, I'm going to see you later.
Yeah. I mean...
It was like Photoshop before Photoshop.
I worked to the door, so yeah.
So our paths probably crossed at one point.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where we invented the kneeling piss one day.
Oh, yeah.
Take a piss outside, but take like a soccer kneel, like Colin Kaepernick now.
Are we talking about that outside porch?
No, just in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah. Lots of bad things in that parking lot.
Lots of fights.
I cannot tell you all the fights I had to break up.
But so you're doing the shitty day job, night job, whatever.
My big break was at Max, which happened was one of my locals when I started to bar back and bartend was working at Channel. You remember Channel Side back in the day used to be sprightly and. So a lot more people were going down there basically.
So Channel Side for people outside the area was like it's an attempt at like an outdoor promenade that had a hook that all the cruise lines would come in.
Correct.
So it was like an outdoor mall area.
Next to the aquarium.
Right.
This was
touristy area.
Pre-big parking lot.
Right.
When every single place had a club or a
near the hockey stadium here.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And anyway, they were telling me about how a new concept was coming up called Splitsville, and he worked for these guys, which was going to be a bowling alley / luxury bowling attempt with billiards.
Yep.
And that, give me your portfolio, and I want you to meet these guys. Mm-hmm. And it was just a happening meeting. So I literally went to Kinko's and printed out my portfolio on 11 by 17 pieces of paper, and had a meeting with these guys, which I had no idea were whales.
Yep.
At that time.
Yep.
They loved my stuff, and they gave me one shot at one piece.
Yep.
And I am 15 years later working with these guys nationally.
Yeah. How many things have you done for them, you think?
Pieces?
Or days of work?
Oh, God. Well, I can tell you.
I know we have a tough time figuring out a unit of measure because it's tough.
I've spent the majority of my career with these guys.
They seem like good. Once I started working with you and kind of, I just started looking into I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was a big thing around the country.
Right.
I knew How the Moon existed. I knew Splitsville existed, but not to how big.
Well, I found out later on, just talking with him, they were involved with Fat Tuesdays, all the Sloppy Joes. They own Sloppy Joes in Key West.
Restaurant group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before restaurant groups were even a huge thing, I mean, their backers are Hooters. And when I started living in Tampa, I realized how many of these restaurant groups were here.
It's weird, right?
It's a thing here.
Well, it's because Tampa Bay, it's the index of the country.
Yeah.
So
it's a test market.
Right. And so if you ever want to try a restaurant, you want to do it here. That's why Outback started here.
Yeah, right down by Henderson. Right. Yeah.
That's why Hooters was started in Clearwater. Outback owns Carrabba's, PDQ, which will be a challenger for Chick-fil-A.
Right.
Down the line, it's only in Florida really now. What else? They got Carrabba's.
Right. Well, these guys,
Bonefish.
Yeah, and you start to see. I mean, some of the manuals that Splitsville's written for their employees have been now taken through other restaurant groups on how to train people.
Oh yeah. They've done a great job, top to bottom.
And they all trade these things, and so I got in on ground level on a really big thing.
The only city that's ahead of Tampa in the index of the country is New Haven, Connecticut. I don't know why I know that, but I know that.
The demographic?
Yep.
Yeah.
It breaks down like 13% black people.
Right.
Like the exact.
Of America.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And, they do that, too, from the polls. I mean, remember when we had that huge political scandal with Bush?
Yeah.
They were breaking it all down to that area as well.
Yep.
So.
Oh no, Hillsborough County, where Tampa lies,
Right.
is kind of the swing county for the swing state.
Yeah, I know. So.
So Gary Johnson, yes.
So anyway,
that's where my vote's going.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, these guys gave me a shot, so I knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
And then they just kept going with me. And my long story short with Splitsville is I've gone from just doing what they thought they were going to do. They took us about 3 or 4 restaurants to nail down our brand, but now I am their brand. My art. So this when a lot of people,
synonymous.
Well, when a lot of people tell me, they say, "Well, oh, you did that for Splitsville, but that's Splitsville." I'm like, "No, what you don't understand is I created that for Splitsville. That is Splitsville.
That's brand identity.
No, like my art is Splitsville.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they gave me that and said you're going to paint this. They said I'd like to do this, and then once we did it in one spot, everywhere is my art in their place.
And that part is your value.
Right.
Because it's something you can't articulate.
Right.
And that's where people don't understand. Whatever you want to do, you have to create value for whatever you're doing.
Right.
So, if you want to be a bakery, and you want to have your own retail bakery thing,
right?
You have to be different than your competition, but B, you have to add value.
Right.
Anybody can. If you're just good at getting bagels from New York or sourcing them from some other bakery and just putting them in locations, well, then you've done a good job.
Right.
On an art level, on the intangible level, you have to add value in a different way, and that's by going, I'm a magic man.
Right.
You call me up, and I'm gonna make shit happen.
Right.
That's a lot of people don't get that.
Well, and then, Splitsvilles weren't being built every month, so
right.
Great job, but let's see when the next one is. So
you go from the Tampa one.
Well, it's important. Everything here is a snowball, and I think it happens a lot in business because one person leads to the next person, leads to the next person. Now I do a good job for Splitsville. They're going to tell their friends. Worked for the aquarium after that.
Yeah.
Worked for a lot of the places in Channelside. Did a lot of stuff in Channelside, and did residential work as well, which I basically will not do anymore.
We talking like putting the paint tape up and doing it, or
kids' bedrooms, faux finishing, which is great money, and there's a great market out for it. I mean,
it's the client.
It's the client. It's exactly right.
The client doesn't know what they want.
There's a lot of changes.
Hey, that's
a lot of changes. And I'm not downing that work at all because I mean my art partner Angela Delaplane is one of the most amazing faux finishers you'll ever see. It's just hard getting the money that they deserve from some people who like it, and the client's never happy in residential. It seems.
Nope.
Some are
because they don't know how to articulate what they want.
Right.
I'll put for instance, we had our carpenter come over, our handyman, really great dude, and my wife's telling me what she wants in a punch list.
Right.
I was telling you this earlier, I think, or maybe I wasn't. But she wants stuff hung. Her area of measurement is 3 blinds down.
Right.
And I'm like, no. Here's how you have to talk. You have to talk in specifics.
Correct.
Otherwise, you're not going to get what you want. You'll be frustrated, but that won't be on him. It'll be on us.
I think you just nailed it for me, too, because here I am. It sounds like blaming the residential owner, but I think you're right, because once I started to really get to know...
No, that's what I'm saying. You should blame the owner.
But when you
they don't know what they want.
When you work in commercial work with a general contractor and with other contractors, and you learn how to speak with them and articulate exactly what you want, you get exactly what you want every single time, and on time, and there's no complaining, and it's done. I think maybe a little to the left. But what if this tree was like a little bit over there instead of over here?
That's why business people are dicks. That's why managers are dicks,
Love
right?
It,
because you have to be specific or else it won't get done.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, you can't just tell me to put the thing in the thing. I need I woke up this morning.
It was 3 days.
It was like, can you get a bottle and give me half of it? And I went to go make half of a bottle, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, making half of it's $6.55. I'm like, huh? I'm like making half. She's like, no, just get the bottle out of the fridge and then pour half. And I'm like, well, that's not. I didn't break out into I need more specifics.
I mean, I didn't want to tell you that residential was a turnoff because of housewives, but I mean,
no, residential is bad. Guys are bad at it too. They don't realize that human aspect of it is like, okay. Well, they don't realize patterns either. Right. So it's always a bad contractor, and it's always a bad whatever you pick up. But they don't look inward. Hey, maybe I didn't communicate this correctly.
Right.
So like people think I'm a dick if they see me talk to anybody that does home services for us.
And it could have been a contractor who's like, this lady doesn't know what she's talking about, and I'm wasting my effing time.
I was on the phone with our pest control came over, right? And I go, look, if you do not give me a heads up the next time you're here, we will discontinue this relationship. We will be done. And I didn't put my phone on mute. And the person I was on the phone with was like, dude, you're a dad? What, you're a hard ass? And I'm like, no. The third time they come over unannounced, the dogs wake us up. The kids going crazy.
Right.
Plus, it's just rude. Like we have to let them in our house.
Right.
So we should know.
Right.
And I've given them my number 3 times. So I'm very specific every time I do it, and yet they can't do it. Then I tell their boss, hey, I want to do business with you, but this happens again.
Right.
It's not on me at a certain point. It's just this is how it goes. Okay. So
anyway.
So back to
white people problems.
No, I mean, this is everything. I mean, specifics, when you're trying to get shit done, when you're doing business, people don't realize specifics are a lot. And the reason people sound like dicks is because it's like, why is this person giving me this much more information than I needed?
Well, and
yours is a different realm. Yours is tough.
I will say that about you, though, too, which is great. It's since I've been with Toko, it's so easy to talk to you because you and I just hammer it out.
Because I just go, what does that mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know the art world.
Right.
I don't claim to.
But we nailed down the details.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I don't know this about nerd shit.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I'm like, all right.
Oh,
what you do.
so important if you want to get back to the art. So I started to realize computers had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm going to give someone a design for my mural.
Yeah.
So you're telling me I have to draw it out completely on paper, show them they want to make changes, or try to give it to them in black and white form, which they can't even see the full realm of it.
Right.
Or what am I going to show up with a scrapbook board with some things I like?
Yeah.
Photoshop changed my life.
Well, talk about that. Like you have to go, okay, I'm an artist, man.
Yeah.
I'm not learning Photoshop.
Yeah. Well, and it scared the hell out of me.
There's hubris involved.
Scared the hell out of me, and I was using terrible paint programs and trying. I was like losing jobs because I was like,
"Are you guys not using Corel Draw?"
Right, or
MS Paint.
Believe me, the design you're seeing is going to be much different on the wall. Just trust me. Show me your portfolio, but no, just trust me. It's going to be great.
Right.
So my friend wanted me to do a logo for him or help him with his logo on Photoshop, and he showed me the basics. And slowly, year after year, I've taught myself, and now I do with YouTube. Jesus, awesome.
Yeah.
And other people that use Photoshop, have just taught myself. So now I can give a client with technology, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I don't even have to go to a meeting sometimes.
Yeah.
To get a quote.
Sure.
We can literally take a picture off his phone, his or her phone, of the wall.
Yep.
Send me an email, what they're talking about, ideas. We can spend a conversation on the phone. If it's a full-on mural, I'm definitely going to go meet them and hear their ideas out and really think about what, because I want to see what their face is about, what their body details are telling me about how they feel about something.
You become there was a show, Lie to Me, where it was all about like cops that could figure out if they're lying by their facial tics and stuff. And you're like, I can figure out if they don't know what they want.
Yeah, and it's great because I can read somebody now in art big time.
Yeah.
If I'm even just listening to them talk passionately about what they're talking about,
mm-hmm.
I'm already drawing in my head when they're talking.
Yeah.
So, and then I can not only show them a design that I can change at any time with a couple clicks, but also I can put it on the wall and show them what's going to look like on their wall.
But you possess a skill that I don't think a lot of artists have. I think you can mimic hand-drawn, but the fact that you can do that's that business development part
right.
that I don't think a lot of artists have the patience for. I think they stop right there. I'm guessing. I don't know a lot of artists, so
a lot of us do now. A lot of the bigger ones do. We're not only,
but that's how you get to be the bigger ones.
Got to
right.
Have to.
I feel like that's the filter.
Have to.
It's like when or I'll give a stand-up comparison. It's like, oh, well, people don't have a closer, or they don't have a big crescendo, or they don't know how to tell a story about themselves.
Right.
That gives it personality. I feel like that's a big filter. Or they don't know how to do crowd work. You don't know how to. You don't have to do it. Don't get me wrong.
Technology is a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool. Use it.
Yeah.
Use it. Don't be scared of it. Technology is a tool. And plus what we're doing is as old as cave art.
Right.
And it's more popular ever than right now.
And you'll find every program online, it mimics something offline. So, like, I tell people, don't be scared of your website. If you had a retail store, let's say the internet didn't exist, your website is essentially your retail shop.
Of course.
But it works 24/7.
Correct.
Yeah. And so, like, they go, oh, shit, I got it. Okay.
Right.
All right. We've been Tangent Highway. Let's go, because we're getting at about the 45-minute mark. Let's go fast forward. How did you get from I got to teach myself Photoshop, all those skills, to now? And then any advice you'd give to any artist listening or anybody in the arts about what to do. It's a lot of stuff, I know.
And that's fine. I can answer that.
See, just take it on, head on.
Yeah, man. So then jobs start coming, it snowballs. So then years. So then bartending goes out the window. Holy crap, look at me. I'm painting. Did I just paint year round?
Yeah.
Wait, did I just work a few jobs? Wait, I'm struggling, and each year, sometimes years are better than others, but 2 years, 3 years. Wait, did I just do art for 3 years straight without any other job?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Am I struggling a little bit? Yeah.
Sure.
But each year the money keeps coming up. Keep working on it. Keep working hard.
Are you satisfied?
Never.
Well, that's good and bad at the same. But I mean, you're more satisfied than
Never,
being
dude.
a bartender.
Oh God, yes.
So I don't say happy.
Oh.
I don't
God,
say, were
yes.
you happy? Because I don't think that's.
No, I mean, I still talk to some artists today who are fantastic. Who still have to work on
Right.
their jobs. And I mean, when you
have to create pressure.
Oh, when you can do art year round, that's when it becomes okay. This
amazing.
is a career,
Right?
Oh, wait, I've started a career.
And then I talk about you reach this another level where you go, I can't be busier than I've ever been.
Right.
And then you go, oh shit, I didn't even know this other area existed.
I've been doing murals full time for almost 13 years, and
It's amazing.
I still learn every year something new.
And you have to remember, this is amazing.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is amazing.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's nothing.
Well, in this,
like
if there's any artists listening, they'll know what I'm saying here. But if you ever reach a point to where you're satisfied with your art, you've stopped growing.
Yeah.
So you have to keep going.
Start cutting.
Keep going.
Start manufacturing this kind of pain. It's going to bleed through, no pun intended.
But no, and I'm not saying don't, stop doing a style or anything, but always push yourself to become better.
Sure.
And always try to do the next best thing since the last thing you've done. And I'm not even saying technically just, push yourself further, because it's a fun journey to be on. If you're a young artist, 10 years hard work. Same advice I'm going to give you as the other one, as my teacher.
Decade.
Well, it can come faster these days with knowledge. With technology and knowledge.
But you have to, I think it comes faster, but you have to acquire more skills on the side.
You got
ancillary skills.
Correct. And you have to be willing to work. That's hard. It's hard work.
Work will beat out anything.
And I can tell you this.
Work will beat out
anyone who paints murals.
Yeah.
And I've brought friends on.
Hustle.
No,
hustle
they
wins.
think it's not hard work.
Oh, God damn.
It'll physically kick your ass after one day. I'd have you sweating at the end of the day.
Oh, I sweat right now thinking about having to go out there and do that at some like reality show kind of bit. But like, no, I can't. I know I can't do it. And right. I know I can't clown it because, I don't have the talent, but I don't even think I have the physical, like.
It kicks your butt.
No, dude, I can't even just getting like I make fun of I think I gave you a volleyball knee pads quip one time, and it was like, oh yeah, I couldn't get on my knees and really paint anything.
Yeah, or just hold your arm up for 8 hours without moving,
or just sit Indian style, or crisscross applesauce, as I should say.
Crisscross, exactly. Now it's your day.
Yeah, whatever. But indigenous style, sit indigenous style. But I didn't mean to sound like Cosby, but having to have that pose for that long, that's the value that we need to push for you to be like, hey, you guys don't know how hard this actually is. Well, get on a scissor lift 3 stories up and go fucking.
Oh, scissor lifts are beautiful now. I mean, not that we because a lot of clients in the past weren't willing to use them, but my God, they're
Amazing.
Oh, I love it. Lifts are the best.
But I'm saying like
Scaffolding every day. And so you don't want to chain it.
Get up and down.
Right. You don't want to get stolen, so you can't chain it every night. So break it all down and then put it all back up in
Which
the morning.
is an hour, I'm sure,
Christ.
every time.
Yeah.
Which is almost, you have to figure out how to have a Zen-like patience for that.
Yeah.
Where you're like, all right, this is part of the process.
Correct.
Right. The scissorless stuff but for me, for someone who I'm bad with heights, so if I'm up there, if I'm 3 stories up on a scissor lift, I'm like, my hand is on a rail the whole time.
Right.
You know.
Well, and for the future for artists, I mean, art is changing so much. In the last 5 to 6 years, what's known as street art and these mural festivals is incredible. I mean, what these guys are doing is blowing minds. 5-story, 6-story murals in 2 weeks, traveling the world. These guys are like musicians, and they're out of control. It's a little too past my age range with having a kid and everything to be able to be at these art festivals all the time.
Sure.
It's a younger man's game, but some of these bigger guys, they are just amazing. And just when you think you're a good artist, just go on Instagram. And start looking around, because there are some amazing freaking artists out there that are doing some really, really big, amazing things. And if you're a young artist, don't stop. Just don't stop. And don't get discouraged by someone who's quote unquote better than you in your mind. Just work hard, because art is subjective, just like music.
Yep.
And not everyone's going to like everyone else's art. Just like you're not going to like the music I listen to.
Here's how I put it. I put it with stand-up. I put it with music. Everybody thinks they have a great taste in music.
Right.
Everybody thinks they have a great taste in art.
Right.
Everybody thinks they have a sense of humor.
Right.
Which is infuriating.
Right.
Because they're like, man, those Geico commercials are really funny. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking punch you in the throat.
You don't get a free ticket to my show.
Actually, that is the crowd.
Right.
Let's do this. We'll have you back on because I don't know. This is fun.
Yeah, man.
You're going to start your own podcast probably.
You're pushing it.
Look, you can gab, you can talk with people. I think Rare is an artist that can do that. I think there's a lot of artists are introvert.
Right.
I think you have a good mix of both. I think that's why we get along, because both of us can kind of do both.
Right. By the way, haven't come to your fucked up nights yet.
Oh, yeah.
The whole reason I'm able to do business in art.
Do you want to do the next one?
I'd love to, but getting back to one more thing, not being taught how to correctly market or business yourself out of art school. It's called fucking up and burning bridges and learning on your own. That's why I was attracted to it. Everybody fucks up. Yep. I was telling everybody, like, my co-host is a scientist. He's a scientist and comedian. He fucks up every day. Oh, yeah. That's his job. Yep. It's really just hypothesis testing and fucking up. You're not really doing it correctly if it's going really easy. Yeah, if it's perfect. That's why child stars have a problem connecting. if you really think about it. Have you seen the last Corey Feldman video? Oh yeah. I can't tell if that's a Joaquin Phoenix kind of like, I'm tricking you guys or not, but it's fantastic. I don't think so. I don't think he's that smart. Yeah, it's fantastic either way. Let's do this. Man Made Murals. It's mmmurals.com. Go on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Hit up you directly. Yeah, sure. I give out my email because what does it matter? Fine. It's Matt at mmmurals.com. Yeah, and so a lot of stuff for Man Made Murals coming up, and if you follow me on Instagram, follow me on anything on visual, Facebook. Man. Yeah. Pinterest. Say hi if you see me. Pinterest working. If you're a lady. Yeah, that's Pinterest. My big thing. If you see me working out there, stop by, say hi. If you're in the Tampa Bay area, or if you see him out and about around the country, we're trying to get you international. That's what we want to do for you. Yeah, I'm doing national. I'm working a little bit more nationally, but yeah, let's keep going. Yeah, all right. Well, he can mimic anything. That's what's crazy. Is if I can give you Peter Fonda's head. That's true. Or I can give you something modern, minimalistic, and you can kind of go the opposite direction, which is it's really tough to do. And you're probably downplaying how good you are at that. Well, and give me about a year. You'll be seeing some of my own work coming out. I like it. All right. Sweat Equity Podcast. Subscribe, rate, review. Give it to your friends. Tell loved ones, tell a coworker.